Hi, good evening. Welcome to SoapBox Slam, and boy, I got a good one for you guys today. I just got off work, and SoapBox Slam here is where I get up on my soapbox and I just slam a bunch of things that I see going on, things that happen, whatever the case may be, right? So today's slam, or this evening's slam, well, my slam right now, has to deal with the freaking hotel industry, the hospitality industry, the hotel industry, right? So I'm working, like the type of work that I do requires me to...
In 2 miles, turn right onto South Harlem Avenue.
And so I live out of hotels a lot. I really live out of hotels, right? And I am astonished that, no matter where you go, they want to charge prices for hotels, the minimum. And that's going to be for a Red Roof Inn or Days Inn or something like that. You're looking at like $60, $70, right? For one evening at one of these places. Okay. Now, if you want something a little bit better than a Days Inn or a Red Roof Inn, and I mean, I hate to be so critical and make such a negative comment, but those places are like roach motels. Every Days Inn, Red Roof Inn I've ever stayed at in my entire life, because I refuse to stay at those places anymore, they have been so unsanitary. And to ask me to pay $75 for such an unsanitary place, to me, seems to be highway robbery. And what is astounding to me, now I Googled some information. Here are some interesting facts. And I'll get to my receipts in a minute, right? But they want to charge that much for something basically substandard, right? You want to pay, you're going to pay a little bit more whether you want to or not. You're going to pay a little more to stay in something like a Comfort Inn and Suites, Country Inn and Suites, Holiday Inn Express, something of that nature, correct? Well, you're going to pay about $100 a night for one of those places. Now, yes, those places might be a little bit better than a Days Inn or a Comfort Inn and Suite, but it's not $100 worth, right? That is the $75 price as far as I'm concerned, the real value for those places. None of these places, none of them are upgraded. None of them have been remodeled. None of them, and I've stayed at quite a few over the last 8 years that I've been in the gas and pipeline industry. So none of these places are remodeled, and maybe some are now starting to remodel, but for what they're asking in price and what you have to stay the night in or stay weeks or months in, it is...
At the next light, turn right.
It's not the same. It's not worth it. As you do the math, I mean, let's keep in mind, since COVID, housekeeping isn't going to make your bed and clean the place every day anymore, which is something that prior to this, when they were asking these prices, that was something that was included.
At the lights, turn right onto South Harlem Avenue.
They're barely paying their workers a living wage. Whether you think they deserve a living wage or not, that is for a different discussion, right? That is a different argument. These people are not being paid a working wage. I do have solutions to these problems. But it is astounding to me. It is truly astounding to me that they ask these kind of prices and the conditions under which you stay are not nowhere near worth those prices at all, right? You could get an Airbnb or rent an apartment, even a furnished apartment, for a third of those costs. I mean, if you think about it, $100 a day, 30 days a month, that's $3,000 that you're paying.
In 3.1 miles, bear right to merge onto I-80 West towards Joliet.
Okay, if I'm paying that much, you damn well bet I expect some freaking services, none of which I get. None. Okay, now you can pay a hell of a lot more and get a super ritzy hotel and yeah, pay $200 a night and you might get all of those services, correct? Right. But you know, these kind of places, these totally unremodeled places and everything else, you're not going to get that at all. Now, again, disgusting, filth, not well kept, totally unpaid employees. So since they don't make a decent living wage, you can tell what kind of service they're really going to give you, correct, right? Like these people that you run into, whether it's the Days Inn, Red Roof Inn, Comfort Inn Suite, Holiday Inn Express, these places, people at the Ramada, whatever, the La Quinta, whatever it is, right? The level of service and customer service that you're going to get, hospitality, which is the entire industry, hospitality, the level that you're going to get is not very good. Not very good. So you're only going to pay for hospitality when you're paying for $200 a night at a high-end place like that. I mean, that's just how they view society, they being the corporations that own these places, because we'll get into that in a second. That's how they view us common working folks people. We're not worthy of hospitality. Only the people who go to resorts and afford resorts, and the only people who pay $200 a night deserve hospitality. Once again, I'm paying $3,000 a month to stay in a hotel versus in my own apartment, which is significantly less, $1,000 in today's day and age. No matter where you are, people want to complain about cost of living. Oh, it's so expensive to live in New York, it's so expensive to live in Chicago. Scratch that. Travel around. Whenever you're in a place, go on their rentals list. You'll see that that's a farce. Do not believe the hype. That might have worked 50 years ago. That's not the story today. And I'll get back to my hotel situation, but keep this in mind. The cost of Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup is $1.89 in Chicagoland area. Guess what? The cost of Reese's Pieces cups is $1.89 in Iowa. Guess what? Iowans do not make the same living wage that I make in Illinois. So when they pay $1.89 for the exact same thing that I'm paying $1.89 for here, Reese's peanut butter cups, guess who is whose income, disposable income, is way more affected by buying something as simple as candy? The Iowans. And if I were an Iowan, I would be irate, because the price of things are, all in all, pretty much the exact same whether you're in Chicagoland or Illinois as it is in Iowa. There is not a reflection based on the cost of living and the living wage reflected in the cost of goods, which is why America is not prosperous. It's why Americans are not prosperous. And it's important that you understand that. But I digress, because I'm furious about this hotel crap. I've had to change hotels 3 times this job, nowhere near my home, so I can't commute. I gotta go to a hotel for work, and I've had to change hotels 3 times. Whether the hotel was disgusting, whether the service was horrible and wretched, or whatever the case may be, it's been a miserable experience this year. When I was in Iowa, I've had to change hotels 3 or 4 times. Part of that was because I was dating someone, and while I was willing to have substandard living quarters, I refused to allow the person I was dating to be in substandard living quarters. So I went ahead and tried to upgrade on their account, and what it cost to upgrade and everything else. First of all, the relationship didn't work, so it definitely wasn't worth it. But regardless,
in 1 mile, bear right to merge onto I-80 West.
It's not worth it to upgrade for basically the same crap. Anyways, back to the hotel industry. We're paying all this. We're paying all of this, and it's crap. Now, the IHG Group is a $12 billion hotel industry. 12 billion, IHG. Billion. B-I-L-L-I-O-N. Not million. $1 billion industry. You would think with that much money they could afford to upgrade and pay people living wages and provide a level of hospitality that is above above average. Right now, the majority of the places are average to below average. Disgusting. And these people who receive these checks and sit on these boards and, oh, it's a franchise hotel or whatever else, they have no idea, nor do they care what's going on with the hotels. They're just collecting their 6-7 figure incomes and not paying attention to what's going on to their properties. It's pathetic and disgusting. Now, the stock trades at $76 and some odd cents. We're talking about IHG. The Radisson Group is a $700 million hospitality industry. Okay, $700 million. I mean, okay. And I could go through all the lists. We'll just use those two examples right now. So that is a lot of money. And for them to be...
Use the right lane to bear right to merge onto I-80 West towards Joliet.
To their employees is pathetic and disgusting when they make that kind of income. And they bring in that kind of profit. And they have an asset value of that high. It's just the disparity. And again, prosperity, wealth, the living person, and what we have to pay. It does not...
Bear right.
This is why we are not prosperous in the United States of America. So... I mean, again, I'm real heated because I had to check out of this hotel that I was at, and now I'm checking into a new hotel, and I'm almost there, so I'm going to wrap this up relatively quickly. But hotel industry gets slammed, and people need to start taking actions against the hotel industry and force these places to go out of business unless they change their ways, which in this day and age, I doubt they care what we're doing. Hell, they don't even care what I'm saying right now. I can make complaints and do the reviews and everything else, and it still wouldn't bother them because they're making their money. The people who are making their money, they're 6.
In 8.4 miles, take exit 140 on the right onto I-3.
They're not worried about this. So I'm trying to talk to you people so that you people will understand what's really going on out there and be just as equally disappointed and irate and complain as I am right now. So these hotel industries and their pathetic excuse for hospitality. Now, again, I told you their stock trades for IHG at $76 and some odd cents a share, right? And people's wealth today is determined based on the amount of stocks that they have. That's how they're getting kickbacks and dividends, why they don't care what's going on the properties, because no matter what, as long as there's money coming in and everything else, they're collecting a check. So what do they care about, correct? The stockholders and the board members, right? What do they care about? They're still collecting checks, and more properties are still bringing in money. So what do they care about? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Even though these properties are dilapidated, even though these properties are disgusting, even though these properties have no value, no standard, and below even human use. It's unbelievable. Okay. Told you how much they make. Now, told you what their stock prices are. Some solutions to the problem. Number one, they totally need to upgrade all of these places. Number one, for the prices that they are charging, the value of what it is does not match. And there needs to be a match between the two. So they need some serious upgrades. And they need to maintain their properties religiously to the point that they are always clean. You got a room that's got some specs on it, guess what? Go to the store and paint. If that's your job in maintenance or whatever else, get the paint on hand and paint the room again. And if somebody has caused it or whatever else who stayed there, then charge their asses for what the damages they've done. Period. Because you need to keep that stuff up to date. That stuff needs to look good. If I'm paying for that stuff and I have to pay for that stuff and live out of a hotel for work, I want it to look good. Period, point blank. Solutions to the problems, because I got to wrap this up. Solutions to the problem. Number one, you have a problem paying your people living wages. Really? You guys need to figure out a way, and that's why I do not have a problem with, like in Vegas and New York, the hospitality industry unionizing. I have no problem with that because they are demanding a higher pay, a living wage for what is expected of them to tolerate and what they are paid versus what these corporations are making and huge profits and what their board members are making and what their CEOs are making and what their stockholders are making. It is a huge It is a huge slap in the face to the people who make that place operate. So, how do you fix that problem? All right, offer these people stock options, and not in their retirement, as a part of their pay. Give them a piece of the pie. If they make $18 or $20 an hour or $15 an hour in some of these places, up their pay to $15 an hour and $3 of credit towards the purchase of a stock that they are always able to buy, and for the longevity that they're at the company, that $3 every paycheck goes toward the consumption of a stock, and as long as the longer you stay there, the more stock you end up with, and that way you get a kickback as an employee. You get a kickback by having the stock options on the dividends that are paid back, and you can actually get some wealth as the company is doing well. Get your employees a part of the pie by giving them the wealth they deserve for making the shit work. That's what I feel about how you operate. But as a consumer, these places need to be upgraded. You are charging me prices, and it's not worth it. The value for these places is not worth what I'm paying. It's not. And you guys are disgusting. You people, I ought to make every last one of you people go stay in one of your hotels. Not your high-end hotels. The hotels that you make us little people, us blue-collar little people go to. You need to stay at them, and you tell me how you would feel, and you tell me whether you would make a video like this or not. The hotel industry is fucked. And I hate cursing. The hotel industry is disgusting. The whole hotel industry is raping America blind as well. You wonder why Americans are angry with each other. You wonder why Americans are the way that they are in this day and age. You wonder why we have the tribalism and the anxiety against each other. It's because you guys are sitting back collecting all your money, and we have to deal with this crap day in and day out. And we have crappy days when we have to deal with crappy hotels, and we take that crap out on the next person who we deal with every day, which is another hardworking person. The game is stacked against us. And we can turn on each other, or we can start holding these places accountable. I want to hold these places accountable. And the hotel industry needs to be held accountable. They suck. They suck ass like you would not believe. All of them. Hey, that's my soapbox. I'm definitely on my soapbox about the hotels. I'll definitely do another one behind my green screen where I can actually show you the numbers. Right behind me, I'll show you the numbers, and you can see how we are being screwed for what we're paying, the value of what it is, and how they are making more and more money. That's me on my soapbox. The whole hotel industry sucks. Y'all have a wonderful evening. I'll see you in the morning. Screw the hotel industry. I'm back to another one. Have a good night.